Okay, this is a great tutorial we're going to do on learning how to make cool logos. Logos are very important in our society, in our culture, in our economy because they have different ways of presenting and directing attention to different products and ideas. And logos are something that are immediately recognizable. This, of course, would be McDonald's right here. Shell, even though we got the word there, we know that shape means shell. Apple, infamous. And we all know this is DC Shoes, In-N-Out Burger. Some of them don't even have the words in them, and we still know what they are, like the McDonald's or the Nike swoosh or the Pepsi logo. So we're going to look today at how to make a simple logo, and we're going to work a series of these to learn how to improve our work. So in this awesome tutorial, we're going to use File, Place to put a tracing image in here. And normally we might put a tracing image there if we did a sketch or some other preliminary design. Wow, that's huge. So I need to zoom out a little bit to make that work. So if I push Control minus a couple times, there I go. I'm going to try to make this fit better on my screen. I'm using a 600 by 600 pixel document just to make it fit nicely. I can also use the, gosh, where is it? The Align panel. And I'm going to use the Align panel to align that to my screen. So I'm going to say, choose this, make sure to align to Artboard. And if I click this one and this one, it's now nicely centered. Let's double click the hand tool to put that on the middle. And what I want to do is I want to start using shapes to build that up. Now, to get this done, I need to make this one a little bit less bold, right? Because I'm going to use that as my background image. So I'm going to take this layer and I'm going to dim images to 50%. Oh, that's nice. Let's even dim it more because it's really just a reference image. So I'm going to change it down to like 30% so it's kind of transparent. And I'm going to lock that layer because I don't want to move that around. Make a fresh layer to draw my stuff on. Okay, now I'm going to begin with some basic shapes. Let's see, what shape should we use? Let's use the ellipse because it's really rounded, right? I'm sure there's more complicated, more difficult ways to do it, but let's start with the ellipse and see what happens. So if I draw this, I'm using the space bar to move it around as I draw. I'm going to try to approximate that shape. It's not going to be a circle, so I'm not going to use the space bar. Okay, I like that. And let's copy that by Alt dragging it over. Let's use Alt Shift drag. Now obviously I'm missing out on the bite from the apple there, and I'll get to that in a minute. Let's just take these two pieces and using the the Pathfinder panel, let's unite those pieces into one piece. That's nice. Okay, now it's kind of close, but clearly it's like not quite right. So before we get too far, let's just duplicate that because we're going to use this at the top and the bottom. Now if it's difficult to see my original shape, I'm going to take the opacity down because now I can use that as my guide to where I'm trying to go. So if I use Shift, I'm trying to approximate the positions of the bumps on the apple. I can stretch this out. And I'm just trying to get a ballpark figure here. So now let's take both pieces, select them, and let's use the Pathfinder and unite them again. Glorious. Okay, now I've got some points that are kind of a problem for me. So if I use the direct selection or white arrow tool, I can take these points here, select them, and up here in the options bar I can remove selected anchor points. Now that clearly messed up my shape a little bit. So I'm going to use the direct selection, white arrow tool, and now I'm just going to like tweak those points and those handles to get closer. And that's not too bad. Not too bad. Let's just do this a little bit more to get closer. And you can see I'm kind of off in a few places. So I'm just going to adjust this a little bit more. And you can get as close to it as you want to. You want to get relatively near. But once that tracing image is gone, it's not even going to be able to see it. Although if I was doing this for Apple, it would have to be spot on, exact, perfect. Because that's how they roll. Alright, so there's a good one. Now this point here is a point instead of a curve. So if I select that point there, and now I'm going to go up here and change to a curve instead of to a corner. So I can control the way that looks. Ah, very nice. Now I'm going to move the line up, and I'm just using the arrow key. Ah, that came out great. I'm a genius. I'm perfect. Okay, let me take these 2 points, remove them, and I'm going to work out the same magic on that side as I did on the other by moving this point over. And I can use Shift and arrow, and let me stretch this handle out a little bit more. So the apple really is just a series of different basic shapes. Let's turn that one to curve. It's a really gentle shape. You know what? We're so almost there. This is crazy. Let's take this and let's reduce the opacity again. Now the original one that we're working from is black, so we're going to change this to black. But it also does not have a stroke on it. So I'm going to take the stroke right here and say, no, thank you. No stroke. Okay. You know what? I can't see my tracing image again, so I'm going to move this over. And I just have to figure out how to cut that out. Two things I have to do. I have to make the leaf at the top, and I have to take the bite out. So if I take the ellipse tool, let's start with that bite there, and I can again use the space bar while I'm doing this to move it around to get my shape in the right place. Good. Now, you might be guessing ahead of me. That's right, I'm going to use minus front. Ba-bam. There's the apple. Okay, we still have one more thing to do. But before we forget, let's bring the opacity back up on this. And now what we have to do is the leaf, and we're good to go. Okay, you know what I'm going to do, though? I'm going to get the layers panel, and I'm going to lock that shape because it works. And I don't want to slide it around while I'm working. I'm just going to lock it, locking it so I don't move it. Okay, let's put that back over here. Let's get the circle tool, and you'll see why I wanted to do that. Now I'm looking at this piece here. It looks like a circle. And the circles that we draw in Illustrator tend to want to start at the top corner of where they might have been drawn to start with. Let's see, let's draw that a little bit bigger. Okay, there we go. And again, I'm going to make the opacity down on this. And now I'm going to Alt drag up here like that. Now we're going to use a new part of the Pathfinder that we haven't used yet. We select both these pieces. And let's see, where is it? Intersect. Bam! Now I've got that leaf. Very nice. Bring up the opacity. And I can either delete or hide the layer that has my original tracing image in it. And you can't even see a difference because like it disappeared. For this exercise for my class, so make sure you're not just copying my original and trying to turn it as your own. Because that's how some people roll out. You know, nobody really does that. But let's change this to red. Yes. Very nice. So there's our red apple. Groovy. In a couple minutes we're going to come back and see how we can put the stripes in place on this to give it the rainbow sort of apple that's common back from the 80s and the Macintosh days. Peace out. Later.